Well, hello, Yellow Army, and welcome back to another interview here on official TUFC TV. Now, one of the unsung heroes of the United camp is United's goalkeeper coach, Ken Griffiths. I'm delighted to say that Ken has taken some time out this from his busy summer to actually join us. Ken, that's a fantastic backdrop you've got there. Have you had a good summer?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Yeah, the fish are great. They keep me company throughout the week. So, yeah, I only cleaned the tank yesterday because I knew I was coming on with you. So glad you like it. And yeah, the summer has been busy, but it's been a nice busy because obviously Rhys and Mark both signed quite early, so I didn't have to spend the whole summer looking at other keepers and kind of like doing background checks on them and things like that. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, it's fantastic news, wasn't it, to have not just Mark, but Rhys as well on board, as we mentioned last week on the website. So how do you feel about working with both Mark and Rhys again?
Yeah, really excited. I think coming into the season, I was confident one of them would stay, but I didn't think we'd keep both. But I think it kind of the fact that they both wanted to stay shows kind of how all the lads felt at the end of last season. They kind of like they just really want to sort of get back in and put things right and get us back to where we should be. So yeah, really positive.
And you mentioned that it means that you haven't had to look at other goalkeepers and all that then. So have you got this additional advantage that you are working with the same two goalkeepers, you know them inside and out? That's a positive, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It saves me a lot of time in that I don't have to come back to preseason and work out kind of the keepers, their personalities, what kind of makes them tick. To be honest, I'm still trying to work out what makes Rhys tick, but I don't really want to go too much into that one. But yeah, no, that they're great to work with, and it means we can hit the ground running, and we can just work on getting straight back into it and improving them, rather than, like I said, like working out a few more intricacies with the keepers before I go into that.
You mentioned about Rhys there, and you've got Mark as well. Two very different characters, but two fantastic goalkeepers. United are blessed with having two goalkeepers that have had great careers already, got great careers ahead of them. And it's important to have two strong keepers at this level, at any level of football, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. I think I've been very lucky since I've been a keeper coach here that we've always had sort of two good keepers. Obviously, first season we had Mark and Sean, and like you see that's massive. Like when Sean say got injured against Stockport at the end of the season, sort of Mark hadn't played for a long time, but he jumped straight back in and like hit the ground running, made some really good saves in that game and the Southend game, which then meant they hit the ground running the next season. So even last season, the amount of times when say Mark was injured, Rhys would step in, and you would hardly notice. He had some really good performances when he stepped in.
Yeah, they've both done that on memorable occasions, haven't they? It's where you think that one of them's had to come in at short notice. You mentioned Mark there at Stockport. I can also think about Rhys having to come in against Hampton Richmond at short notice. Do you need, as a former goalkeeper yourself, do you need a different mentality, do you think, as a goalkeeper? Because there's only ever one place up for grabs. We know that Rhys has played up front before. We're not expecting that to happen on too many occasions. But do you need a different mentality that you know that there's only ever going to be one place and one of you is going to be sat on the bench?
Yeah, completely. It's always a difficult one as keeper because a lot of the time you get your chance at late notice. Like so, you've always got to be ready. You've always got to prepare like you're going to play, and just got to be ready to come in at the drop of a hat. Like the one you brought up with Rhys at Hampton and Richmond last season was like the perfect example. Literally, like I think Mark dropped out at the 11th hour, and Rhys didn't bat an eyelid. He stepped straight into it, had a brilliant game, and we won 2-1. And then that obviously set up the derby game in the next round.
Now, Mark also mentioned about in his interview about this. Some people call it the Goalkeepers Union, and how close knit, not just the whole squad at Plainmoor is, but how close the three of you all get on. You get on really well. That's important as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the camaraderie that you've got in the group? Because it must be very difficult. Like obviously when you've got one keeper that's had a fantastic season in Mark and played the majority of the games, and then you've got an equally talented goalkeeper in Rhys that's champing at the bit to get his chance.
No, definitely. It's we spend a lot of time together with the keepers, and it's a really good bunch I've got. I'm lucky, and but I think all the keepers understand sort of like the various roles within the group, and that kind of like whether whoever's got the shirt, the other one's backing them up and pushing them at the same time, and just kind of like doing it in the right way. I think as a group we've got a really good trust. And I think the guys trust me with the way that I prepare them for the games, and I trust them that they're going to be living the right life away from the training grounds. And when I sort of like we look at opposition or do things to do, they'll go and do it properly. And I think that's a really important thing that we've built up over the last sort of year or so. That kind of we all trust each other, and it's a good group.
Sometimes it's easy to forget, Ken, that obviously you've actually played for Torquay before. In fact, I remember seeing you play up at St James Park. I think it must be about 20 odd years ago now, and in the Devon Bowl final against Exeter there. So obviously you've got what it's like both as a player and as a coach. Do you think the goalkeeper coach role has evolved, has changed since you were a player?
Yeah, definitely. It really has. It's become a much more important part of it, because I think back when I played, I was really lucky that we had Ken Vasey, but he wasn't full time. I think he was coaching us and the keepers at Exeter at the same time. So we probably didn't have as much time with him as we would have. That would have been really, really beneficial to have. But I think nowadays it's a role that the clubs really look to, and it's a good way to kind of like attract keepers as well. They know that side of it's been ticked off properly, then they're more likely to sign for us.
I'd imagine that it's a lot more technical, without being disrespectful to what was going on back then. Obviously, with technology and all of that advanced now, you've got a lot of video analysis that you tap into as well, with people like Louis involved in the backroom team as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a big part of it. But then obviously things like reviewing the opposition and bits and bobs like that, you kind of things change quickly. So you kind of like you use it to build up little pictures, but then the keepers understand it. They kind of like they can't be too set on what you see. They kind of like it gives them a good idea, but things don't always happen the way that you've seen them happen before. So it's very important to sort of like just remember that. And I think the keepers are really good and really understanding of that side of it.
It sometimes feels like it's been a long summer without any football, but actually we're getting very close now. It's only a matter of like a few days and now until the players will be returning to pre-season training. Are you looking forward to going back, seeing the lads and the staff and getting the banter going again?
Yeah, honestly, I can't wait for it, to be honest. Just mainly because like the way that the season finished last season, I think it really hurt what happened, and you just wanted to kind of like dive straight back in and put it right. And obviously, we're seeing all the lads who have re-signed, like re-signing after re-signing. It's been really, really good. And you just kind of like just want to get back into it and get things going again.
Torquay United is very much a football club that's clearly in your blood, if you don't mind me saying so. Ken, I mean, what would success for Torquay United mean to you personally this season?
Oh yeah, no, promotion. It's got to be that. Like we've after like last season, like hurt so much. It just I think it's anything else isn't on anyone else's radar in the squad. We're kind of like that's what we got to do, and yeah, we've got to go for this, haven't we?
Sounds like it's a common theme running throughout the United camp in pre-season with everybody on board. And Ken, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to seeing you in pre-season training ahead of the pre-season matches at Plainmoor as well, coming up soon.
No, always good speaking to you, Don. Have a good rest of the summer. Enjoy the last week.